Warramine people. We recognise the traditional custodians of the land we're meeting on today, the Verify Aboriginal people, and respect paid to their heritage and their elders, past and present.
Excuse me, you didn't
All right,
go to last night?
all right, mate. Before we move into the council as a whole, I'd like to make a short statement. I wish to advise that the Midcoast Council Local Representative Committee and Implementation Advisory Groups have now been established. The Local Representative Committee will provide advice to me and the Council on local views and issues, advice on communication and engagement plans for the community, provide input to the statement of vision and priorities, and provide input into the operational plans of Council and assist to engage communities and partners in planning for the new Council.
We have a council for doing that.
The Implementation Advisory Group will assist in providing input into the preparation of the implementation plan where needed, and will look at the strategic directions of the Council and its operations. I also see that the benefit of the committees meeting jointly and separately from time to time. I now introduce the committee and ask them to stand briefly as I introduce them. Jan McWeave is the chair of both committees. Members of the Local Representative Committee are Jim Henderson, Frank Cook, who is an apology, Karen Hutchison, Robin Jenkins, Trent Jennison, Carol McCaskey, Lee Vaughan, and David West.
Who are these people?
Where's our council? The members of the Implementation Advisory Group are Catherine Bell, Glenn Roberts, and Catherine Smith.
Yeah, National Party vote.
I look forward to working with the committees. I'd also like to make another short statement. I first want to thank again the 25 councillors from the former Greater Taree, Great Lakes and Gloucestershire councils for their
Thank you
service
for that, because
to their councils and their committees.
We've had any acknowledgement at all.
I also want to thank the staff of the former three councils for the massive effort over the past 4 weeks for the work in blending the former three councils together. If the goodwill and hard work and attention to detail that's been displayed to date is a sign for the future, then the future of Midcoast Council is assured. It is my role as administrator to represent equally all the communities in the new council and to maintain seamless service delivery to the united communities. As a new council, there is a need to embrace opportunities to improve services and infrastructure for all the communities that make up Midcoast Council, and to keep the communities, staff and other partners informed and involved in planning and implementing change. Each of the three former councils have practiced open, accountable and ethical governance and administration, and this will continue. The success of the new council can be achieved by bringing together and building on the strengths, structures, staff and systems of the former councils, and valuing the knowledge and contribution of the staff and communities. I'm sure with the goodwill already shown by the staff and the input by the Implementation Action Advisory Group and the local representative committees, we can bring forward in September 2017 a new, cohesive and fully integrated council for the council elections. On a day-to-day basis concerning matters that come before council, nothing has changed in the manner of determining matters before council. Council officers will still have the appropriate delegated authority, and where there are matters that ought to be brought before council, staff will prepare the necessary reports and other information, taking into account all matters that are legally required to. Developments which are designated as state significant developments, for instance mining, will not be determined at local council level and will happen, as happens now, be called in by the state government for determination through the state government process. Objectors and people with interests or concerns may still address council. I want to emphasise that the manner of determining the business of council before the merger will continue as usual. I now understand that there are a number of speakers who wish to address council, and I'd ask Mr. Paul Hogan to please come forward, and I'd ask the gallery to please respect the speakers.
I've come here today because of my love and concern for the people here in the Manning Valley.
So Paul, Mr. Hogan, just before we start, if the gentleman...
Each speaker will have 5 minutes in accordance with the code
5 minutes,
practice,
all right.
and
I'm quite aware of code of meeting practice.
I'll give you a ding at 4
Thank
minutes.
you. I was a democratically elected popular mayor for 8 years here, so I'm quite aware of code of meeting practice. Mr. Interim GM.
I said that for the galleries.
Thank you. So I said I've come here today because of my love and concern for people here in the Mening Valley. The state government could have preserved democratically elected local representation during amalgamation. Decisions over billions of dollars of public assets and hundreds of millions of dollars of annual income will remain the preserve of either the administrator or the interim general manager. Neither are democratically elected or directly accountable to the public. The formation of Midcoast Council is a national party takeover of local democracy that will cost the ratepayers of the former Great Lakes, Greater Taree, Gloucester councils in both real financial terms and in the destruction of local representation. It will do nothing to address the financial sustainability issues of the region. During the past 4 weeks, the actions of the administrator and interim general manager have hampered any harmony in the new organisation, and their approach will leave years of inefficiency and reduced morale across the organisation. Neither the Federal National Party member for Lyne, David Gillespie, or the State National Party member for Mile Lakes, Steve Bromhead, attended any of the public inquiries, and neither spoke against the merger, despite the 3 communities overwhelmingly rejecting the proposal. Since proclamation, the administrator and interim general manager have behaved like they are conducting a Great Lakes takeover. Proclaimed deputy general managers have been made redundant and all activities focused in the former Great Lakes office. Ron Posselt, ex-general manager Greater Taree City Council, was forcibly made redundant within a few days of the proclamation, despite having over 20 years in change management systems integration and merging organisations, leaving no such skills in Midcoast Council and a massive change program to undertake. No credibility has been given to the efforts of Gloucester or Greater Taree councils by the Midcoast Council decision makers, preferring to rely on pushing out the Great Lakes philosophy. There has been no attempt to merge the entities as equals. Great Lakes was the fittest council because it had the highest ratio of income to road and bridge assets. It has not been part of sector benchmarking projects like Greater Taree, preferring to rely on its relationship with the government and its local member. Indeed, the local member is often referred to as the member of Great Lakes, such as his preference for Great Lakes Council and his personal disdain for Greater Taree. John, I ask you this question: why our ex-deputy mayor, Alan Tickle, ex-Gloucester Mayor John Rosenbaum have been left off the implementation advisory group? As the only popularly elected mayor voted in by the community, I was not even given the courtesy of being asked if I was interested in being on the implementation advisory group. And that is a fact, John. I've supported you for years. I even attended your farewell, and I get treated like that.
That's another farewell.
Yes.
John, would you make it public also the conversation you have had with a member of the community indicating I would not be considered for any of these positions?
I've not had such conversation with
John, you had a conversation with...
If you'd like to talk to me afterwards, we'll clarify.
John Rosenbaum.
Sorry. Your name did not come up.
Righto. The Mening Valley community deserves better than this, and I will stand up at every opportunity to seek equity for our ratepayers.
Mr. Chris Sheed.
I've got your number, Catherine. No, Catherine Bell.
I would prefer to stand with my back to you, but I'll sit and use the microphone. I'd like to convey first of all the apologies from Julie Lyford, former Mayor and Councillor of Gloucester Council and current Greens candidate. Alid Hoggett, the former Chair of Midcoast Water, also asked me to convey his apologies. As the gallery is probably aware now, Alid has been removed from the board of Midcoast Water and you have replaced the elected board on Midcoast Water.
Shame.
Undemocratic.
By accepting the invitation from Mr. Hanford to speak today, I am in no way endorsing your administration. Our campaign has the support of former councillors and mayors, as well as the broader community. Outrage and disbelief are just some of the responses we're receiving from the communities affected by the forced council amalgamations. We are disgusted, and that's putting it mildly, by the sacking of our elected representatives in what is simply a soft coup d'etat by the National Party. A coup involves the sudden and forced seizure of a government, in this case our local government, instigated by a small group of the existing establishment to depose the established organisation and replace it with a new ruling body, or in this case, a National Party administrator.
Yes.
We deplore the complete loss of democracy in our local government affairs and are appalled that our very important local government matters will be controlled, decided and managed by a politically appointed administrator. It has been described to me by council staff as a chaotic dictatorship. If this were France or Paris, there would probably be rioting on the streets. Under these circumstances, we find your administration, Mr. Turner, unacceptable, and I count myself among the growing number of people who are refusing to recognise your authority. Additional concerns are your role as administrator of Midcoast Water and your connections to the coal industry. Mr. Turner, you're on the payroll of Whitehaven Coal, correct?
Yes, he is.
Mr. Turner, you're on the payroll of Whitehaven Coal as the chair of the Community Consultative Committee. The Moores Creek open cut coal mine is extraordinarily controversial. Both Whitehaven Coal and the proposed Rocky Hill open cut coal mine at Gloucester share financial backing from the same source, AMCI, the private equity giant run by German billionaire Hans Mende. There is an obvious conflict of interest in your position. I repeat, this is a National Party coup. Who has been appointed to the advisory committees? You've now named them publicly, so I don't need to ask. How many are members of the National Party? How many recently became members of the National Party?
Put your hands up.
Put your hands
Put
up.
your hands up or you're in charge of it.
Other councils are taking action, and we are joining them. The Land and Environment Court has ordered the state government.
Order. Please have some.
Other councils are taking action, and we are joining with them. The Land and Environment Court has ordered the state government to produce the KPMG document on amalgamations. The weak delegates' reports are being challenged. The whole shambolic process is in disarray. A community-backed petition to the Parliament is being launched shortly, which calls for the immediate reinstatement of our councils and the holding of local government elections as due in September 2016, and we will settle for nothing less.
Mrs. Posselt?
My name's Cathy Posselt. I am the proud wife of the General Manager of Greater Taree City Council. I'm here today to give my own personal account of what dismissing my husband from his position has done to him, to me, and my family and the community. Ron got the job as a director here 6 years ago. We came back to this region. I was born in your home and both of us went to school at Port Macquarie High School, so it's an area we're very familiar with. In fact, we were absolutely delighted to be coming back to the mid-north coast of New South Wales. We thought we were going to be staying here for a long time. We built a house in Harrington, just recently, 2 years old. I've set up my own business in the last 18 months and worked tirelessly to get my business off the ground. I have two 91-year-old parents living in Foster who have Alzheimer's. I have a pregnant daughter due to give birth next week in Newcastle. So the impact on my family and us having to no doubt relocate because of the dismissal of my husband has caused such has had such an impact on him as a person, on me as his wife, on our 3 grown-up children, on our family, my parents, my friends, my Harrington community, my customers, and the wider community of Taree. Ron applied for the interim general manager's role about 6 weeks ago. He was extremely keen to be the interim general manager and thought he had the skills to be able to progress the merger and to make this continue with the tireless work that he has done for this community. As Glenn knows, the 3 general managers, Danny Green, Ron and Glenn, had to go to through a recruitment firm, Hudson I believe, had to apply for their own jobs, which entailed various testing and going to Sydney to do scenarios. Ron rang up last week to find out the results of his assessment and found out that he actually achieved outstanding in every area of the assessment. So he was well and truly capable of leading the team. When he wasn't chosen as the interim general manager, he was gutted, to be honest, absolutely gutted. But he wanted to work, as I said, continue his work for this community. So, actually, and I'd like you to know too that Ron received a phone call from Glenn the night before the proclamation, and Glenn actually stated on the phone in my house while I was listening that if he was chosen to be interim general manager, he would make Ron and Danny Green the deputy general managers. Now, in hindsight, we wonder how you had that information, Glenn. So when he was not chosen, he went to Glenn on the Monday after the proclamation, a day or so after the proclamation, and said that he would like to put his hand up to help the change and do the change management for the merger. He has over 25 years experience as a change manager, and he has over 20 years experience in 4 different councils, including one council that he assisted in a merger process. So he was more than qualified to assist you, Glenn, in helping the merger go smoothly. However, at that point, you told him to go back to his desk at Taree, because he was at Foster in your office, and pack up his desk. He rang me 10 minutes later after you had asked him to do that, and you could imagine his feelings and mine at hearing he had to go back and pack his desk within 2 days of the proclamation. So the following day went and saw John Turner to ask to appeal the decision that Glenn had made. And John said, I support what Glenn's decision is, that there is no role here for you in this new merged council. And Ron brought with him that day his resume to show you the evidence that he had that he was actually qualified to help this new mid-council, whatever it's called, Midcoast Council, to help them with the merger. And he was actually enthusiastic and said to me, I can do this. I'm going to help this new council. I have so much knowledge of the area. But John, he didn't even look at his resume. And Ron was devastated. He didn't even take the time to look at his experience. Right. He just supported Glenn that there was no position for him. So without any reason, the administrator has confirmed Ron's dismissal without reason. So my question is, first of all, I think you know that your decision to dismiss Ron from this area, with the wealth of knowledge he has of this region, his tireless work to make Taree and the surrounding areas a wonderful place to live and have so many projects and vision for the future. My question to both of you, why was the General Manager of Greater Taree Council dismissed when he has over 25 years experience in change management, has worked as an executive leader across 4 councils and has had previous experience in council amalgamations?
Not in the National Party.
Not a member of the National Party.
Aren't even intimidated.
I would like an answer. Why did you sack my husband when he had so much to offer? You, personally, you, Glenn Hanford, with your process of merging these councils together, you know nothing about this region. Ron has a wealth of information that he could have been a valued member of an executive as part of Midcoast Council. But yes, he's not part of your national party. And I'm ashamed and I'm so disgusted with what has happened in the last 6 weeks.